Greetings. Today we're going to do a copy of this portrait of George Neville by Hans Holbein the Elder. We're going to start today's drawing with a simple 3/4 view head. I'm sketching this very lightly, and I'm estimating the plane change from the front to the side of the head to be a little bit left of center. And I'm going to throw in an early indication of the collar and the ear, which is very important for getting the angle of the head. Notice the ear begins just above the collar. Now, one thing that's unusual about this portrait is that the eyes are not in the middle of the head. I've measured and they are a little bit above the middle, so let's make the line for the eyes right about there. And I've also measured the location of the bridge of the nose, and it's only about 1/8 of the way between the side of the face and the ear. So put the bridge of the nose way over here to start. I'm going to do this copy quickly, but I welcome you to pause the video as necessary to catch up. This is about a 30-degree angle. And if we mark where the location of the eyebrows is going to go, and we compare that to the location of the bottom of the nose, I'm going to annotate this for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Eyebrows are here, which is here. Bottom of the nose is here. Bottom of the chin is here. So if we know where the eyebrows are, and we know where the bottom of the chin is, we know the nose is going to be about halfway down. And if we measure this location of the mouth, we can see that it's only about 1/4 of the way down. It's not 1/3 of the way down, and that's because this guy has a pretty enormous chin and jaw. So let's just lightly indicate that. And I'm going to do a little bit of first shading right where that plane changes and a little bit under the chin and jaw, not detailing the throat yet. And a little bit along the bottom plane of the nose, and a little bit in the inside corner of the eye. And what I'm doing there is just sort of giving myself a few dark reference points. I'll block in the hat at the same time. Remember, blocking in is thinking of curves as a series of straight lines or angles. They're easier to see that way. So we're thinking about it kind of like this. Boom. And it's easier to see where to put the directional changes if you're thinking about it in terms of these straight lines. That, and I'm going to go ahead and do a first shading for the entire hat as well. even a little first shading for the receding shoulder and the collar. And what I'm trying to attain is a pattern of lights and darks that at least resembles on some level the pattern of lights and darks in the motif. Now we're going to zoom in and let me clean this up. And we're going to take a look at some areas of detail now that we sort of established our main locations. So we're going to start with this receding eye. I feel like I need to just raise this brow ridge a tiny bit to find the brow. And it's interesting to note how foreshortened this eye is. It's really short. And Holbein has also done a great job of showing the way the eyelid kind of flips inside out. So notice how this eyelid flips around when it turns the corner. So here's the outside of the eyelid. And then we make that corner flip around, and that little white surface there is the inside of the eyelid. That's not the white of the eye, that's the inside of the lid. And this iris is very foreshortened. And the lower lid is visible as two lines. This is where the white of the eye ends, and this is the lash line down below. And that also kind of wraps around. So we get the real sense of the eyeball and folded by this kind of pouch. Here's the pouch extending into what's we might call the bag under the eye, and that slightly overlaps the cheekbone like that. Now what I drew is a straight line for the nose. Actually it has kind of a bump in the middle, which is common, and then it has another fullness towards the tip. It's a pretty good sized nose, so don't minimize it. And it wraps around. And if I imagine a plumb line, which is just a vertical that extends from the bridge of the nose straight down, wait a second, and I draw it on here, you can see that it's going to help me a lot of sort of identifying where to draw the nostril. You see the nostril comes a little bit in front of that line and a good way behind it, like that. And the ala comes around. To draw the ala, it might be helpful to imagine this angle, which notice it's about 30 degrees. And so going down to the mouth, I marked the height of the mouth, but let's take a closer look at the actual curves that we need to draw. Move some things around here. Okay. Notice that the center portion of the mouth is way to the right because of the turn of the head. So there's the central curve. Here's the outside curve, which is going down pretty steeply and is very short. And here's the elongated front curve. It's fairly straight and ends with a little downward move like that. The cheekbone, we imagine it extending behind the nose, makes a little indent right here, and then it curves, kind of swells out because there's musculature around the mouth that we actually speak and eat with that forms a fullness there. And then we're going to move down to the chin. I'm going to zoom out again for a minute. Get rid of that. And get rid of that. And so if I pull another plumb line straight down from this little plane change here, I wonder where I'm going to end up on the chin. I'm thinking it's about where the front of the chin should be. Let's check over here. No, the chin actually really projects out more than I realized. So I'm going to make this curve a little further out. And this comes just about straight down or out just a little bit. And then the chin is going to stay out in front of this plumb line, way out here. And there's a slight suggestion of an overlap right here where the chin meets that fullness in the jowl area. And comes around like this, curves up just a little. And here's the line of the throat. And the last main facial feature we need to add is the eye. I'm going to pull another plumb line down here. You can see that it's the corner of the eye is way back behind the ala. Now I'll warn you, the mistake that most people are going to want to make is putting the eye too close to the nose like this. It's not what we want to do. We need to keep this space nice and open. This is the space between the bridge of the nose and the eye, way back here. So we're going to use that plumb line to locate the eye. And now I'm going to zoom in on the eye and on my drawing. So there's the little corner of the eye. This is that inside of the eyelid again, right here. And then we're flipping around, and there's the outside of the lid. Like that. There's that foreshortened iris again, and the pupil. Be aware that this eye is quite a bit wider in your picture than this one is because it's much less foreshortened. There's a little skin fold that comes down past the corner of the eye here's where the white of the eye ends, this very faint line, and then there's a slightly darker line under it. That's the lash line. It's important to always include both of those lines if you can see them and not just one. So I'm going to zoom out again and take a look at what we have so far. And I'm feeling like this all makes sense, but I'm feeling like my ear is crowding the eye a little bit. You see how we really need some more space here? And I may have scaled things up a little bit when I drew the features, but it's important to remain flexible to making these kind of corrections as you draw. At this stage, because I didn't do any details on the ear yet, it's really no big deal to just bring that back a little and open things up. I'm going to check one more thing, which is the level of the bottom of the ear, which is, I'm going to pull a horizontal across from the bottom of the earlobe, and I end up right around the bottom of the nose. When I check my drawing, I can see that now I've placed my ear way too high. Sorry about that. And we're going to have to pop it in. Not only further back, but lower. The hat's going to come down lower. And that becomes something I'm happier with. Maybe the hat comes even further back behind the back of the head. Okay, gotta erase everything again. And recenter. Okay, so those are proportions I can live with. I want you to adjust yours as necessary. Remember to stay flexible. It's not a coloring book where you just make your outlines and follow them. Sometimes you have to fine-tune them, and you're going to fine-tune them a lot when you see after you've added shadow, every little error you make is going to jump out at you in a way that you were not able to see before there was any shading done. So now we're going to do a little bit of detail shading. We're going to get that cleft in the chin. Notice we've got some darkening of the bottom of the chin through here, and then a little soft halftone under the bottom lip, and darkening of the cast shadow under the chin. If you do that correctly, you're going to see that little reflected light emerge between the bottom of the chin and the top of the throat. And that's very important for making that chin look round. I'm going to make one more correction. I just feel like I made that eye a little bit too big and wide open. So here's that plane change. I can clean up some of my construction lines before I do my final shading. So there's one dark here, another little pop of dark here. A dark skinful right in front of the ear. And then another kind of fleshy fold behind the ear. Again, I hope you're pausing as you need to, because I'm going a little fast right now. To get the roundness in the nose, we want to do a little darker through the core shadow here, a little darker underneath to make him look as old as he is. We can't ignore this little skin fold here, which I'm going to indicate with a little bit of hatching like that. It's got a little mole or something up here. And some fine little hairs. And I'm not going to do all the shading in the hat that you might want to do because I'm in a rush, but that's going to have to do it. And here's his sort of V color. And that'll do it for this copy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to do a little more shading on the iris and the pupil.